In today's video, we'll review the ultimate public bike park. Galbraith Mountain in Bellingham, Washington is a mountain biker's dream with every type of trail you could ever imagine. They have jumps, tech,
Whoa, slidey roots there.
wood features,
Oh,
and plain old single track. Today, I'll review this bike park as I feel I've taken enough trips here that gave me a good feeling for the mountain. Let's start off by talking about some basics that will help you visualize the mountain in a better way. Galbraith is about 1,800 feet tall, making it a fairly large bike park. This elevation is used very well as the ratio of uphill to downhill is some of the best I've ever seen. This bike park has 224 trails, which is just massive. Most of them are tame cross-country beginner trails, but Galbraith has some insane runs among these. If you're curious about the breakdown of difficulty, they have 50 beginner trails which are marked by a green circle, 107 blue trails which are intermediate runs marked by a blue square. They also have 21 advanced trails which are marked on the map with a black diamond, 3 expert runs which are marked as double black diamonds, and 2 pro line trails marked by a red triangle on the map. Before a trip here, I highly recommend downloading the app TrailForks, or at least find the website. Due to the size of Galbraith, it's somewhat easy to get lost if it's your first time. TrailForks will give you directions on how to get to certain runs, and you can check out stats about the trails by clicking on the ones you're interested in. The main description says this bike park has over 50 miles of trail throughout more than 3,000 acres, so there's no loss of quantity here. I know I keep using the term bike park, and while there's no lift, it definitely doesn't feel like the smaller Duthie Hill, Summit Ridge, Snake Hollow, or many other trail systems that are similar. Galbraith is a serious trail system that provides a fun experience for anyone, whether you're a beginner looking to get into mountain biking, a rider looking to progress their jumping, or a total shredder that wants to be challenged. As for the ideal bike, I would have to say a mid to long travel full suspension that's an all mountain bike. Something like the Norco Sight, Transition Sentinel, Evil Insurgent, and other similar models are a great choice. This mountain has insane variety, but all the good trails would be most enjoyed on an all-mountain machine. Let's dive into some of these trails by difficulty and location. Galbraith is divided into 4 different sections. There's the north side, south side, front side, and back side. I can't talk about every trail here due to the sheer quantity, but you'll get to see the best trails on each part of the mountain. First, let's go over the directions to each side of the mountain. I park at the south lot every time. It's easy and has a fairly short climb. From there, you can ride down Galbraith Lane onto the fire road and climb up this for a bit. To get to the south side and back side, there's a little open grass path that begins right as the fire road opens up into a clear cut. It's a green trail called Pipeline. Watch out because this is fairly easy to miss if you haven't ridden here before. If you take this grass path all the way down for about a half a mile, you come across another fire road called the Towers Southside Approach. Climb up until you see a big blue rock. To the backside, it's as easy as continuing straight onto the connector trail, and for the south side, keep climbing up. You'll see a handful of smaller red rocks, and either way will get you to the summit. If we don't take the grass trail, we can continue up the Pipeline Fire Road. This whole area is the front side of the mountain as it faces the bay. For the north side, you climb up the Cedar Dust Fire Road, which you can't miss. It starts going downhill right before the turnoff. At the top of the jump lines, there's another road numbered 1200 that eventually turns into a dirt trail. This is how you get to the north side. Let's start with the trails on the front side. The main attraction here is the Cedar Dust Jump Park. Similar to the style of smaller public bike parks, the runs here are short but sweet and play a large role in the progression of the local riding community. The jump park consists of 4 lines: the beginner line, the intermediate line, the advanced line, and the expert line. The green trail is not worth riding in my opinion as there aren't any real jumps at all. The intermediate line is a great warm-up for all skill levels and consists of fun tabletops, very well built berms, and a final section with optional advanced hits. Once you feel comfortable on the blue line, you can continue to the Black Diamond Trail. This one is more aggressive than the intermediate line with bigger jumps, mandatory gaps, and even larger side hits. This line is great under any standard. Everything is predictable, there's some serious flow, and the large options are very well built. Moving way up in difficulty is the expert line. This is probably the third biggest jump line here at Galbraith, and it's easily one of my favorites. Every jump is perfected, and they flow amazing. You won't find any lips that kick you, and certainly won't have any trouble getting through if you know you have the skill. If you're a fan of floaty lips, this trail is a must ride. Another awesome trail on the front side is Grasshopper. Unfortunately, when this video was filmed, the trail remained closed for major work connecting each section, meaning I haven't ridden Grasshopper. It's a double black jump line with some tight, technical jumps. While not as big as the Cedar Dust Pro line, I imagine it's more challenging. When this trail is open, it's going to be nuts. The final trail I highly recommend checking out on the front side is Cheech and Chong's Wild Ride. This intermediate trail is a fairly long and technical downhill trail with a few wooden features and rooty sections. It's not very difficult, but my friends and I agree that this one is a must ride. Next up, the north side, in which I have 3 trails to talk about. First is the biggest jump trail at Galbraith by far, and that's Blue Steel. This mini Loose Fest line is a ridiculous jump trail way bigger than anything else that's public in the state. This trail has lips more than 10 feet tall, 30-foot plus gaps, and crazy airtime. It's a really fun line and feels very floaty too. For those of you that don't know, Blue Steel was built by Nico Vink and the Transition Bicycle Company. Since they were sculpted by a master, the confidence you gain is unreal. If you think you're ready to progress beyond expert jump lines, check out the Blue Steel Pro line. Don't forget to read the tips from Nico at the start of the trail to stay safe. The next trail is one of the most famous ones, which is SST. This trail is fairly odd, but pretty fun in my opinion. It has a rocky surface with some berms and a few fast flowy sections with tabletops mixed in. Of course, there's also the iconic rock drop and step up midway through. Everyone raves about this trail, and it is fun, but there are definitely trails that I would choose over this one if you don't have all day. The third and final trail on the north side is Air Chair. This one starts out as a pretty flowy trail and ends with some gnarly roots and rocks. Moving on to the backside, there's not really much over here, as it's a lot smaller than the other parts of the mountain. There is a trail called Spirit Bear with a massive rock roll, as well as a trail called Devil Cross that I have not had the chance to ride yet. Now we get to the best part of Galbraith, with the most trails, best trails, and insane quality. It's the south side. Here's a list of the must-ride trails. Let's start with Mohawk, which is the best trail I've ever ridden, period. This jump trail is an advanced level flow trail built by the Shire crew. These guys absolutely nailed it, and Mohawk shows. The whole line is tabletops with larger gaps, as well as an insane pro line split at the end. The upper section is about 2 minutes long and is full of berms, rollers, and loads of jumps. Back to the pro line, it's a massive version of the upper part and contains a huge hip jump that towers anything else. No matter how long you're here for, don't miss out on Mohawk. Next to this trail is Evolution. Unlike Mohawk, Evolution consists of long wooden ladder bridges, steep rolldowns, and rooty descents. I rode this trail a few times, and it gets better after each ride the more you get comfortable. There's also a few jumps mixed in, which I always enjoy. Evolution is very close to what a North Shore trail would be seen as, so if you're into that, check out this trail. Following Evolution, we have another one, which is Irish Death. This trail is fast, rooty, and fun. Being a black diamond trail, it's certainly not for everyone, but Irish Death is one of the flowiest tech trails you can find, if that makes sense. The high-speed corners and fast routes make this trail a blast to ride. Moving slightly downhill, we have arguably the most famous trail on this entire mountain, and it's Unemployment Line. This run is an intermediate level trail with massive berms taller than me, optional large jumps, rollers, and insane flow. This trail used to be very tiring and hard, but the builders overhauled this line recently to make everything easier to clear and more fun. This trail and Mohawk are basically the king of flow at Galbraith. U-Line is also great practice for riders that want to ease into hitting Mohawk. While coming down from the summit, I recommend this trail for the second part. If you're descending down the south side, there are 3 sections of trails to ride. You can start with either Mohawk or Evolution into this or Irish Death. For the third part, there are 2 trails that are sweet. Radical Dragon is first. This tech trail is very weird, but I'm still a big fan of it. The top part has some optional jumps and routes, followed by the iconic rock drop, finishing with steep and rutted out loam. The last trail for this video is called Atomic Dog, which is a nice long tech trail containing roots, jumps, berms, and fast sections. This trail is also fairly popular, and it's easy to tell why. A-Dog is very similar to Cheech and Chong's Wild Ride, so you don't have to ride both trails unless you really want to. That's all for the fun trails at Galbraith, and there's even more I wasn't able to talk about, as well as trails I've never ridden. So far, everything about this bike park has been positive, and it's easily my favorite one. There's one thing that bugs me though: wind. Because this mountain is close to water and has many open areas, it can get windy easily and ruin your jumping. It seems to be most prevalent at the Cedar Dust Jump Park, so I highly recommend checking the wind speed before you go. I use mountainforecast.com, it works great. Usually, I plan my trips here around days with wind 5 miles per hour or less to ensure I'm able to hit everything. This won't deduct points from the final score though, because nothing can really be changed for wind. My final score for Galbraith is yes, a 10 out of 10. What do I like about it? Well, there's lots of things. The quality of every run is perfected by the builders. Everything is predictable and safe, which makes it easy to progress. The efficiency is another pro. It's easy to travel around the mountain, and no 2 points are very far from each other. Galbraith also has a better climb to descent ratio, which is always good for your legs. The variety at Galbraith might be the main thing. You can find everything here, so it's no surprise the locals can absolutely send. You can ride tech, rock rolls, big jumps, flow, all in one lap. I've said this before and I'll say it again, but Galbraith is by far my favorite bike park. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next week.